organized by ASSEDEL. ASSEDEL is an NGO located here in Strasbourg, dedicated to defending human rights.
If you have followed day-to-day activities, you see that it's not only in Europe that there is what you can call democratic backsliding or attacks on the independence of judges. So we have a topic which has at least transatlantic, if not wider, interest. According to the program, we shall examine how judicial independence and freedom of expression of judges are increasingly under threat in Europe. Professor Kaminski, who is the next speaker, and he will speak about Yalçınkaya. And I think that is a very interesting case, perhaps not because it's direct at the heart of independence, but it rather shows that legislators can misuse legislative power in such a way as to impose on courts to take decisions without thinking.
There is nothing in the convention, literally, there is nothing in the convention about the independence of the judiciary. Of course, there is a right to fair trial, but individuals are entitled in individual cases to have their case decided by an independent court. There is nothing in general terms about the independence of the judiciary.
Executions. And the Department of Executions I underline because it sets the guidelines and it sets the threshold on what will be acceptable in terms of remedies that countries adopt, but also in terms of when we will close a case. Takeaways from my talk are really three. One is that when we think about compliance, we're only talking about the tip of the icebergs. There's a lot of the behavior that we don't know about that is settled away. Number two, when we talk about execution and compliance, we need to be thinking about who the actors are, how do we protect them, how do we ensure that they survive a change in government, a change in politics. Number three, when we're thinking about execution, we need to think about protecting the system as a whole, and we need to expect of the states, of our organs, of our governments, more, and not allow them to get away with compliance unionism. I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Then what is interesting in the case of Baka is Article 10 as well. Why so? Because Mr. Baka, being the president of the Supreme Court in Hungary, was at the same time, ex lege, president of the National Council of the Judiciary. I was pleased as well to see that Baka served as a reference to all these cases, to most of these cases by the European Court of Justice. But the European Court of Justice has elaborated more solid, which then in turn has been followed by the Strasbourg Court in all the line of Polish cases.
The Baka judgment is a very important point of reference, and in the coming months we will see whether a government that has a constitutional majority will pass legislation that will bar judges from being able to speak up, or will maintain a situation where you have at least this kind of ambiguous situation, and it depends on the bravery, the absolutely clearly existing bravery of Hungarian judges to speak in matters that are important for all of us, because obviously judicial independence is not important for the judges, it's important for all the parties before them and the whole of society. Thank you very much.
Perspective I will bring to the table will be from that of economics. And the question in economic terms is, does judicial independence contribute? Does it help to bring prosperity to us all? Does it help us to increase welfare? Does it increase economic growth? That may not be the only thing that's important about judicial independence, but it's quite important, right? And the answer to that question, provided by economic research, is absolutely yes. It isn't. Create a composite indicator measuring de facto judicial independence. They find similarly that this has a clear impact on economic growth. It's important to say that this is de facto judicial independence, because if you try to measure just the rules, there's no impact. So just having the right thing on paper doesn't matter. It has to be real.
In your view, can the judiciary be partially independent and politically controlled for cases that concern the question of power, die Machtfrage? Yeah?